Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a brand new F1 23 esports video. And today we are driving around one of my favorite tracks, Mexico. And as you can see the standings there, we are P3 in the standings, quite far away from Freddy Rasmussen. 44 behind Freddy Rasmussen and 3 points behind Barry Werman, 3 points ahead of Thomas Ronar and 12 points ahead of Lucas Blakely. Reigning F1 Esports World Champion, but he's even further down than us. As I said in the past few videos, sorry that the quality is not as good as on my usual videos, because this is not my own recording. This is recorded by F1, who deliver the videos to us. Now, as you can see, perhaps a little bit, you can see a bit of lag going on this outlap so far. That's not just the video. That is my actual POV. If you're not seeing it, you'll probably see it in future videos. I think Qatar was by far the worst I've had. But yeah, those are screen freezes I'm getting, or game freezes, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, as you can imagine, they are near impossible to drive it. I had them in the past events as well, or in the past event as well, but yeah, they were just so much more small, and they were much more drivable, and this is just a lot harder. So yeah, this is not ideal. This only started happening like 20 minutes before qualifying, and yeah, there was nothing they could change anymore before this. So yeah, we're gonna try and do a qualifying lap with it. Now, what we need to hope that happens is that all the screen freezes primarily happen on the straight and not in the corners, because that's the only way we're gonna get a good lap in. Now, imagine it's already hard enough to get a good qualifying lap in an F1 Esports grid. Now we're gonna have to do it with screen freezes. Through turn 1 we go, and yeah, that was actually quite decent. Quite a decent turn 1, 2, 3. And now we head into the second sector. It is a 28.567. That's very solid for a Q1 session. And as you can see, I've changed the diff mid-corner basically for that right-hander, just to try and get a tiny bit more traction. And now you want 50% on-throttle diff in the high-speed corners and the medium-speed corners, but then 55 for the hard traction zones, and sometimes even 50% on throttle diff for the hard traction zones as well. It just depends on your setup and if your inside wheel starts spinning or not. So into the final sector we go. It's a 56.281 split going into the last sector, and that means we could be doing a 114 here if we really nail the last sector, but that will be a little bit insane for Q1. But across the line we go. It is P3. And I think we were one of the last to cross the line, so yeah, we cooked right there, and we managed to save a set of tires, so we stayed in P12 it is in Q1. And yeah, a lot of the big screen freezes happened on the straights, and that's why I didn't go out anymore as well, because I felt like that's not gonna happen anymore. We've used up our kind of luck with the screen freezes. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about the screen freezes anymore in the coming few races, because yeah, you guys probably get tired of it then as well. But yeah, the screen freezes never got fixed for me in the rest of this event. So yeah, the next 5 races we are driving, and qualifying, so we're going to be driving with constant screen freezes. And yeah, even though last event I kind of had them as well, I think everyone had them, but the ones I had were just so big, they were unbearable and nearly impossible to do any good laps with. So yeah, I'm gonna try not talk too much about them, but in the end of the day, this ruined our last event a lot, because it's just so hard to drive with. And the fact I even got into Q2, I remember saying to Ben, my engineer, before heading into Q1, I was like, I think I'm gonna be P20 in this session. I don't think we're making it through into Q3. You can see here as well, last lap was horrendous because, yeah, in a grid that's basically spread 2/10 apart, it's... If you lose a tenth because of a screen freeze, it's already crazy loss. I'm basically having to do near perfect laps every single lap in order to make it through the session. And in some way, I reckon I drove a lot better because of this, because all the pressure was off. I knew that if I didn't make it through, there was no fault of my own. For the people who don't quite understand what a screen freeze is, it's basically your screen stopping for a moment. And yeah, as you can imagine, that is incredibly distracting. In a qualifying lap, it's also distracting in a race. And you're gonna see in the Qatar race at it, my game stopped. But my game stopped relative to others as well. So every time I had a screen freeze, I lost 2/10. And yeah, a few times I was in the middle of an overtake and my car just got put back 2-3 and then I had to start doing the overtake all over again. So yeah, the pressure was off because I realized as well at the time, yeah, just trying to do any decent lap would be a miracle. And yeah, as you can see there, P5 at the moment in Q2. We actually made it through again into Q3. Didn't expect that. P5 in Q2. Ismail Fassi, Brendan Lee, Tom Manley and John Evans out. Jed Norgrove out as well in Q2. We are just over 10th away from Nicolas Longue. And now we're going to go into Q3. First lap in Q3 here. Now remember, we have 2 new sets of tires, so that is nice. Especially with the screen freezes, because that gives you basically an extra opportunity to set a decent lap. But yeah, through the final corner there, big slide, P6 it is, and yeah, not ideal because I think we're last out of the new tire runner. So as we go here then, final lap Q3, the pressure is off because I know as well that this is going to be very hard to kind of get a good lap in. 56 brake bias for turn 1 and 50% on throttle diff for turn 1, 2, 3 to rotate around those exits and apexes nicely. Third gear, big over that inside sausage curb, trying to not invalidate is always hard. 600s up though, and that is a very solid improvement. Into sector 2 we're gonna go. It is at 28.499, that's decent. Third gear, and then up to 55 on throttle differential for the right-hander. 1.5 tenths up to our previous lap. Now there's obviously quite a bit of track evolution around here, considering it is a kind of street circuit. So yeah, a lot of grip to come to us, especially in that final sector, which is so low speed. There's a lot of time to still gain. 1.9 tenths up as we head into the final sector here. Now, Barry Borman did a 0.4. Now, that's not something we are going to be able to do into the next left-hander. And, yeah, we lost a lot of time there. Not ideal. And 1.5 tenths, 1.7 tenths up. We go across the line. It is a 114.687. Which felt like the most I could have done, to be honest. Yeah. Now, realistically, looking back at this, I would have not gotten pole position without screen freezes as well. We did not have the pace of the top 3. Realistically, I would have gotten P4 or P5 without any screen freezes. So, yeah, P8 it is. And yeah, P4, P5 was the maximum. So, yeah, not too shabby, considering I thought I wasn't going to make it into Q2. And yeah, P8 it is, and we can fight from P8 on the grid around here. It's a very solid track to get overtakes on. 3 DRS zones, of course, 36 laps, a lot of tire degradation, usually around here, and also big undercuts possible, which also means that going long has a bigger advantage relative to, yeah, going earlier. So yeah, onto the race we go. a lot of soft runners, a lot of hard runners. We're going to be starting on the hards. Some people might go mediums. But yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. You can see there a lot of extra fuel on board. Plus 2.33 laps of fuel. That's, I think, the most around the calendar. But into the race we're going to go. You can see the Red Bull of Freddie Rasmussen or Joshi Doble in P5 on the hards as well. We got Alfie Butcher and Lucas Blakely on softs. It's lights out and away we go. Not a great start relative to those around us. But of course, we are on the hards. Alvaro Carreton on the mediums behind us. I'm going to cover off that inside and use our battery into turn 1 to fend off as many people as possible. I don't want to get swallowed up by the pack here. We've got Alvaro Carreton around the outside there. But we use the space available around the outside. Almost touching there with Josh on the exit there. And we're going to use that battery to try and pressurize him into the next left-hander. We're going to send it down the inside again to not really attack, or also attack because he's on the same strategy, but also to kind of defend from Alvaro behind, who is on the mediums. So if we get past Josh here, we might be able to fend off Alvaro, but we couldn't. We were really close to getting a warning there, as Lucas goes really wide. I have no idea what happened to Lucas there. I almost thought that he did wing damage, but yeah, I was incredibly confused with what he did there. Now I decided to let Alvaro go down the inside. Or actually that's Ismail. I have no idea what happened to Alvaro. Oh, Alvaro sticking his nose in there. That scared me a little bit. But yeah, down to P9. But of course, that position loss is just to Ismail Fassi. Now Alvaro Carreton on the mediums behind. Kind of just decided to let him go here. I already used up 35% of my battery. The mediums are just the best race tire around here. We got Fabricio on the softs. He's definitely gonna get by here. He's sending it down the inside. Used up a lot of his battery. I decided to just let him go here on the exit of turn 1. And now we only got hard runners behind us, so we can kind of just take it a bit more chill. Recharge our battery. Lap 6 now. And you can see Fabricio starting to struggle on those soft tires. And yeah, we're gonna have to try and get past him here because he is struggling. Now I decided to go down the inside here. He knows that he has no tires left. I run deep though, and that cost me DRS on the main straight. So that was a huge mistake from my part. I should have just stayed behind and got past him on the main straight here. Now I'm having to use a lot of my battery to not get re-overtaken again by the cars behind because the DRS zone is so long. And there's another DRS zone on the next straight, so yeah, that was incredibly stupid from my side. However, we're gonna have to use a bit more battery here on the next exit. It is Josh ahead of us on the hards as well, so yeah, I don't think position-wise it really mattered in the end of the day, because we're gonna be able to get back in the DRS in the middle sector. We're running quite high on wings relative to the rest of the grid, so naturally we're gonna gain lap time in the middle sector, lose it on the main straight, and also lose it on the ERS regeneration, but we do have DRS to help us with that. So yeah, again, you can see DRS right there for us, and we are within the 1 second window on those higher wings. We're gonna gain again in this last sector, and yeah, now we can start recharging that battery in the coming laps. Lap 12 now, and you can see yellow flag. Brandon Lee has retired from the race. And that's because his wheel disconnected. Coming out of the fast chicanes. And yeah, his car just drove straight into the wall. Nothing he could do about it. Obviously, if your wheel disconnects, then yeah, your car just goes straight. I'm not sure exactly how it could happen. But yeah, just sums up this year a little bit with how much technical issues there have been. But yeah, Brendan out of the race, of course. Lap 14 now. It looks like one of the Astons has boxed. And I think a Haas car as well. I think that Haas car might have gotten damage. I'm not sure. But yeah, first people, or more people starting to box now in lap 14. And we are sitting on 100% battery that we regenerated with the help of DRS, of course. Decided not to fight Josh, even though I was sitting on 100% battery, because no point. We can fight once all the other strategies have pulled into the pits. You can see one of the Williams cars still in the mediums. A bit of a weird strategy to do medium hards around here, because the hards are not a great tire, so a little bit confused with that one, but yeah, maybe it will work, I'm not sure. Lap 15 now, another Williams pulling off into the box. Again, we're staying out, and yeah, I was looking for perhaps a little move on Nicolas Longue. That will be the perfect scenario. You can see we're still really low on tire wear, 42%, but we're not going to be able to use this wall compound because we are going to be moving on to the mediums before that. So again, by the time we're going to finish this lap, we're going to be on 100% ERS. As you can see there, 94%. Make that 98 by the time we go on full throttle. And we're going to have a little look on Nicolas Longue here, turning on the battery. Because in an ideal world, we are P1, P2 in this rain. P1 or P2 in this rain. So that's why I used a bit of my battery to try and have a little look down the inside of Nicolas Longue in lap 17. So I decided to put my nose in, but obviously I didn't have the right to be there. Because I was not far enough alongside. Rules in F1 Esports are a little bit different to real life. Obviously because in F1 Esports you can see a lot more. You've got the arrows, we're sitting a lot higher up, above the helmet. And yeah, that means that if your front wheel is next to someone's rear wheel on turn-in, that's when you have the right to be alongside. Not like us, for us it was front wing to rear wheel at the apex basically, so that's not enough. But yeah, end of lap 17 now, I decided to box. A lot of people followed us in. And the question is now, where are we going to come out? Estimated live 23 laps, so easy to the end. But we're behind Nicolas Longue and Giorgio Dowu still. I was kind of caught off guard with Nicolas doing that on pit entry. I'm quite sure he got a track limit warning for that, for going off track. I'm not sure actually, but yeah. Basically P3 in the strain in a net P10, P11 at the moment. A lot of people boxing really early. See there, cold tires for us, and still a full battery though. So yeah, again, don't want to battle too much too early on, but I do want to find my way through into P2 in this train, because I do feel like I've got better pace than the guys ahead at the moment. And I'm gonna turn on the ERS once again to try and close in on those cars ahead. And now we are gonna be able to move past. It only took us half the battery to do so, but up to P11 we go, and net P9 in this race. You can see two Alpines still out on track. They are gonna stay out really long in the hope a lot of battling will start to happen up front once they box. So yeah, that strategy might work. However, we have disconnected from this race. And yes, you've heard that correct and seen that correct. We have disconnected from a LAN event. It said network cable unplugged. I don't even know how that's possible, because I stayed connected in my Discord call. So yeah, very confusing. And yeah, not ideal. Not an ideal scenario. Now, we're gonna rejoin this race. Quite fast though, but it's 80% AI driving around, so we're obviously losing a lot of pace. And then rejoining loses you a lot of lap time as well. You can see Tom Manley there, 3 seconds ahead. You can check actually in a moment. He is 2 seconds ahead, but when I rejoined, I also didn't have force feedback, so I had to restart my wheel, let my AI drive around even more, and lose us even more time. So yeah, suboptimal scenario. To make things worse, our AI card used quite a bit of our battery as well, which they always do. Instead of recharging, we lost like 7%. And now we are 3.5 seconds behind Tom Manley. out of the DRS, 50% battery. We got Wilson behind us. We got another 5-6 cars behind him on brand new mediums. And we're in net P11. So yeah. Suboptimal. Let's keep it that way. Suboptimal scenario. Obviously we're just going to continue and try to still snatch a point away somehow. That's our aim here. Maybe help our teammate Daniel Bresnay in some way. I'm not sure how that's even possible. We're not going to get DRS on the next straight, of course, because it's a double DRS detection. We got Jet Norgrove on 3-4 lap fresher tires. John Evans as well. Then Ruben Pedreño will box like lap 22 or lap 23. I've got no idea when he boxed, but it was very late. So at this point, I'm just going to try and stay in DRS of people. Try and kind of let them carry us along. That's the only thing we can do. Not fight people. Our tires have hit the cliff. Their tires are still quite brand new. They still have not hit the first cliff, which means their tires are around a second to 2 seconds faster per lap. So yeah, net P13 with a lot of people on brand new tires behind us. Again, just gonna try and stay behind most people. Wilson though is on similar tires, and as you can see there, he's not very fast on the straight. You can see him lag forward a little bit, which yeah, is us losing time, us spawning back. That are the screen freezes I'm talking about. We go down the inside of Wilson and move up to P12, and that was because I felt like I perhaps had a slight pace advantage over Wilson. Wilson, I think, realized, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try and stay in the DRS of our incredibly fast teammate. Fresh tires for Daniel Bresnay, and yeah, that way perhaps he can carry us across the field. It was very optimistic, but at this point in the race I had to be optimistic. You can see he's pulling away every single corner, and yeah, we're just about gonna get DRS on this next straight. 1.8 seconds behind Ismail Fassi. I'm gonna use my battery again to try and stay in that DRS zone. And 6.5 and 7 tenths behind now. And yeah, I was pushing like crazy. Because once Danny reaches traffic, then we can start recharging our battery again. But up until then, I just need to try and keep this track position. And as you can see, I stopped using my battery there. That's because I got the DRS and I saw Ismail Fassi on old hards in front of Danny. I was, you know what, we're gonna be able to catch up to him anyway. I'm just gonna save my battery now. You can see 25% tire wear, and that means we've hit the cliff, obviously, and losing over a second per lap to our teammate Danny Bresnay. DRS open, and now we're gonna try and move past Ismail Fassi on the next start-finish straight. So you can see we've got more grip than him. We are running high downforce, fresher mediums relative to his older hards. And as you can, yeah, as I said before, I questioned that strategy a lot. You can see our teammate Danny Bresnay has pulled off into the distance. And yeah, what I was hoping now was we get DRS here, we use our battery and get into the DRS on the very next lap on Danny Bresnay. But Ismail was, yeah, so low on grip that Jet Norgrove and John Evans on full batteries catched up to me, and yeah, they probably knew I was on low battery. They knew I had disconnected and that I was on all the tires. So yeah, using a bit of my battery here to move past Ismail Fassi, who did not get DRS, but you can see John Evans and Jet Norgrove getting past here. Not much I can do. I only had 16% more battery in the tank. However, these two decided to have a go at each other, and past we go again. I didn't even really plan on, yeah, going for a move straight away, but thank you, I guess. Now we've got John Evans on our inside, and I tried to let him go, but I think the guy was running so much lower wings than us that he just couldn't. He was on so much fresh tires, but yeah, he just couldn't get past. But yeah, I tried to rejoin the track safely there. We got pushed off a little bit by Jet there. He did get a warning for that after the race, I think like a penalty point. But yeah, he is flashing, and I was really confused by that, because I thought they were gonna have 100% battery. So if I had known that, I would have not thought that, or I would have thought that a lot harder. But yeah, you have to pick the right fights in this race, especially after you have disconnected. And that's what I tried to do. Lap 30, we've got Jet Norgrove going for naughty little sand down the inside of John. I think these two were not liking each other very much this race, because they have kind of collided like 5 times now this race. They are still flashing on their battery. I've got no idea how, because we're on 52% battery. They are fresh tires. I have no idea what has happened to these guys. But I think they just kept fighting 2-0 every single lap. Meanwhile, me and Wilson were just sitting back here like, you know what, you guys just fight. And again, a dive bomb down the inside. And yeah, you see a lot of people going side by side. I think 3 wide up front between Ruben Pedreno, Tom Manley and Georgie Dowu. So yeah, they were all having a proper go at each other. I was, you know what? Me and Wilson are just gonna sit back here. We're gonna wait until our tires or until our ERS reaches 100% ERS. You can see Wilson having a little look down there, down the inside there. Oh my god, I'm having a stroke. But yeah, he knew as well. We're just gonna sit back here and let them use their battery and pound at the right time. Again, John and Jet having a go at each other. I'm gonna turn on the battery here and breeze past these guys on the straight. Now we are running high wings, which doesn't help us getting past here, and that means we're gonna have to use a lot of our battery. But nonetheless, we're gonna move up to P11. And you can see the second I went off the ERS, John started gaining to us. But with the higher wings, we can brake a lot later and obviously have a lot more cornering speed. So again, these guys behind me going side by side on the exit. I'm using a bit of my battery to cover it off. And P11 it is. And now we are behind Alvaro Carreton. He's on the hards. And now we're just gonna try and recharge our battery maybe a tiny bit in the next lap. And then have a go again at the guys ahead. Now, naturally, we're just gonna be gaining here in the middle sector because of those high wings. I think we were running the highest wings out of everyone on the grid. I'm not sure why. I think it's just, yeah, what you're comfortable with. Sometimes I run really low wings, sometimes really high, sometimes average. It's just what I feel best with. And yeah, P11 it is now. And we're actually looking at points here after losing like 4.5-5 seconds in this race after disconnecting. Obviously we picked the right fights. 53% tire wear on the rear. At 65 is when you hit the second cliff, so we're gonna be clear of that. Alvaro Carreton using a lot of his battery, and again we're just sitting back enjoying this because I know they used their battery again, and I know we didn't. Tom Manley and Georgie Doe flashing there, and again we're just gonna be sitting back, opening the DRS and recharging our battery. So yeah, you can see they were 1 second ahead into turn 1. And now we are on their gearbox, going into this final lap. And yeah, we've got the pace advantage in that middle sector, of course, because of those higher wings. I think Josh was running quite high wings as well, but that's only helping us due to the fact that we've got 50% battery. So Josh is going to be an easier overtake relative to the rest of the grid. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to have a little look into the stadium section because these guys are going to bunch up. We're going to send it down the inside. We get side by side at the apex. We leave the space for him. He squeezes us a little bit off track. Maybe go side by side through the final corner. Marbles on my outside tire, so we're not going to have great traction. But we're going to turn on the overtake button. And you see we're pushing Jet a little bit down the inside there. And we've got so much more battery here. You can see Wilson going for a move here for P11. However, yeah, there are some penalties up front. My teammate Danny Bresnay, a 3-second penalty for an incident with Lucas Blakely. And that means, yeah, being patient paid off in this race for me and Wilson. After, yeah, our races looked over. I lost 4 or 5 seconds with that disconnect. And maybe we can have a little look down the inside of Tom Manley somewhere. He's still flashing. And yeah, we are still on an 80% battery, so we've got at least 10% more. And we're gonna turn on the battery on this exit. You can see we get a good run out of that exit, but we just about don't have enough to really have a go. That's not a good send opportunity. I was thinking about the little send. He covers off the inside, moves back over really late. And I was trying to still find a way through, but no way through this time around. It's gonna be P9. And I think it's actually P8 after another penalty for Ruben Pedreno. So 4 points back after disconnecting. Felt like a huge win this race, even though, yeah, it is obviously an unacceptable scenario. And yeah, a very frustrating one. Because where would we have ended up if that didn't happen? We were ahead of Nicolas Longue when we disconnected. And yeah, we had great pace. So, frustrating one. But it is what it is. I guess we've been very, I don't like to say unlucky this season, but we got shafted massively by the VSC. And now we get shafted by a disconnect. We got shafted in qualifying with the screen freezes, and we're going to be shafted in the next few races as well with screen freezes. I guess, yeah, if all the unlucky things happen in one season, I prefer that over getting one unlucky race over the next 5 years. So yeah, I hope that we can get all this shit over with this season. And then, yeah, have the racing gods on our side. I would say I never like to say that we're unlucky, but yeah, things certainly didn't flip our way so far this season. But yeah, we just have to keep going, try to get as much points as possible. Hope you guys enjoyed this little fight back. Nonetheless, make sure to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time. Ciao.
I'm in the AMG, no